that you are spirit, it has great implication in your life. What happened to us is that we spend 98% of our time in our biological self-identity. You see that? And then when we come to church, then we remember the spirit. Two of us. You see that? And that is the notion that we correct in transpersonal psychology. That you are a spirit 24/7. You are a spirit, what? 24/7. And a spirit has no gender, which is also in the Bible. It said there is neither Greek nor Jew. There is neither male nor female. See that? It means spirit has no color. Oh dear. And that's my argument in transpersonal psychology. Is a solution to solve the crisis of identity in the world that we live. Because in spiritual identity, there is no color. In spiritual identity, there is no gender. So there is no gender discrimination. Wow. And that's why I dedicated the rest of my life to transpersonal psychology as a field, because I find that it's in the Bible. You know. So all of us, see, we are all spirit. Wow. Not spirit that's good. You know, not the one that they show us on the TV. Now, a spirit is not limited by time and space. Wow. A spirit is eternal. You are a spirit. Do you know that despite the fact of your biological age, if you raise your spirit consciousness, you can tap into knowledge beyond your age? Okay. And that's what we want you to believe. You can start doing things that will wow everybody. How come? How old? I told Pastor, my daughter, at the age of 5, she said, oh, that's the prophet in the house. So you can imagine, she's 5 years old. She is telling us that God speaks through my mind. How can a 5-year-old cognitively understand that? No. That is her spirit. And that is who you all are. You all have access to that dimension of understanding. And guess what? In your academics, you begin to tap into that knowledge. In your career, and then you begin to command extraordinary creativity. Wow, I'm telling you. After all, the Bible says the Holy Spirit will teach you all things. Not just only your Bible is a teacher. So, and that's what we call transpersonal inspiration. Now, how does it lead to leadership? So, it's a concept in leadership because the world is in a global crisis now. I'm going to go far. I mean, look at the third world. In 1985, I was in primary school. Yoweri Museveni, the current president of Uganda, came to power, and I'm going to be 50 this year. What does that say to you? I was in primary five. He came to power, and he's still in power. Are you telling me since 1985 there is no brain in Uganda? Talk to me. I was in primary school that they will take you. I was watching the news when he overthrew the government as a military man. 1985, I was planning to go to secondary school. This morning, you see the president. If you go to Cameroon, they say, you see that? It's like they don't want to die. They don't want to die. And we can see. Now I'm using third world because I'm from the third world. I'm from Nigeria. I'm not using European. We are using our own. Okay? So you will know that there's a problem. Because whether we like it or not, the future belongs to all of you. You are our future. That's it. Whether we like it or not, one day everybody will die. Death is inevitable. Are you getting me? Don't be scared. And we will all live long in Jesus' name. Amen. And so, that is why we are focusing on you. Because the greatest act of leadership is mentoring. Okay? That's the greatest act of what? Leadership. Is to mentor the next generation. Are you with me? That's why you are very dear to us. You are the most important generation to us. There is nothing you can do about it. You guys are taking over. You don't even believe that. I can't hear your amen. Why are you scared, Pastor? Why are you scared? Okay, I've come to announce to you today that you guys are taking over. Amen. That's it. That's the reality. When I woke up this year and I realized I'm going to be 50, I said to my mom, I remember my primary one, my first day in primary school. I still remember vividly. It was in Oyo State, Ibadan. I know the place. And my mom was dragging me to school. Baby of the family. And then I woke up this year. I said, I'm going to be 50. I said, hey, hold on. Where did it go? You see that? We cannot stop time. We can only invest in time. And that's why this is just the beginning of this. You guys, you are the next generation. You are taking over. Whether we like it or not, whether you already Muslim like it or Bobigny like it, they will die one day. And we need to prepare for the next generation. And that's why leadership is very important. So imagine what our brother said earlier, if you catch this understanding at this age. Because with every humility, I was fortunate to belong to a particular church called Deeper Life Bible Church. In those days, they would take us in secondary school, sir, to retreat like this. They would teach us the principles of discipline and success. And that, my generation, everybody became a doctor. Everybody. Whether in medicine, everybody. That particular generation of mine that we should go to camp. We look back now today, we are all doctors. All of us. And it was because they took us to a camp and they taught us value system of discipline. Now, my challenge with your generation, because in those days, there is no TikTok. There's no Facebook. There's no Instagram. Snapchat. Even my 7-year-old is not talking about Snap. I'm a pastor. I say, hey, Jesus is Lord. It's not. I say, I don't Snapchat. So you know your father is a reverend. Help me. They understand the password. The other day, my son said, Papa, I know your password. I said, yeah. I said, then I gave him the phone. Then boom, boom, boom. He showed me. I said, at the age of 8. And he said, Papa, I can take money from your account. I said, what's it? That is the Jeshanim. Now, what I'm saying that is that your generation is facing great distraction. Your challenges are not our challenges. Pastor can tell you that. I told you, my mom is church, house. There is no social life. No. And then she will wake you up 5 in the morning. No, baby, I never life, Pastor. There is no baby, there is no Christmas. We don't even celebrate Christmas. Yeah, in the church I grew up. And then, box of bubble, there is no television because it's a box of the devil. That's what they taught in my mother's church. So imagine me. So you wonder how I ended up having 6 master's degree and 2 doctorates. Because I have no life. It's book. It's book. So people say, why is book? I say, no, I have nothing to do. You read your book, you read Bible, read your book, read Bible, read your book, and then you go ahead for the young. That was the combination. You see, the first time I saw a handphone, your mobile phone, was 2001. Wow. First time in my life. And I have all my teeth completed already. Big man. The first time I saw a laptop was in medical school. They brought a laptop, sir. We were about 50. We were looking like this. Medical school they do. So you can see Your generation has different challenges. However, the principles of God is the same. Principles don't change, no matter the distraction. And so we believe in transpersonal leadership. And why we believe in that, one of my arguments for this is because of the call for ethical leadership. And you see what is happening in our leadership today in the world. I mean, you guys know all the news. You know, when somebody will be given a contract to execute contract, the first thing they are thinking, what is mine? Now let me be a bit controversial. You know what happened in the last election? So people came to me, they said, Obi. So they started this Obi thing. You know, in London, then the university I was working, they were Obi, they were Tinubu. So originally, I was with obedience. I won't lie, Pastor. I love Obi. I want somebody new. And then one day I sat down. I said, in 1985, Pastor can tell you, our president, current ongoing, came to power. Pastor can tell you, there was discipline. The people we killed down in Nigeria. It has, you know, the Nigeria backslided. We backslided. People we kill, and you cannot drop things on them. And I said, how can you bring back that in Nigeria? You see that? Now, the man came back to power now for 8 years. He's the worst. Everybody's cursing me. Then I sat down and I said, what is the problem? I was meditating. You know what the leadership said to me? He said, the leadership you have in Nigeria, are they a product of outside the world? I said, no. He said, are they not a product of your society? That was my case. He said, the leadership we have is a product of what? The society. He said, it is a society that produces that what? Leadership. So why are we blaming the leaders? Are they not product of our society? And what is wrong? Simple. The value system of our society reflects in our leadership. Yeah? The value system. A typical young Nigerian guy, apart from Japa, want to have money at all costs. So if you say next generation without proper value system, with ethical leadership, if you bring them in, they will come in and they will destroy everything. Because of what? You cannot live beyond your mindset. See this? The value system that you have. So if you don't have ethical leadership, and that's why we believe that transpersonal leadership is the answer. Leadership that is coming from the place of spiritual values. You cannot wear two shoes. When I was coming, ECJ said I should pay for luggage. And I just bought some shoes. And I was thinking, which one should I pick? I said, Rev, you are now Kana. You are very Kana. You are very Kana. You didn't get a language. I was saying to myself, I said, now you are taking up shoe. And I have to remove shoe, put shoe, so that I won't pay extra. So when I got there, it was 15.6 kilograms. And my team said to me, I said, hey, what did you put in that bag? You are going to do this. I said, there are some shoes I bought. The shoe is calling me to wear them. I said, it's not me, it's calling me to wear them. So we joke about that. Now, if you don't understand that things don't give us value, we give value to things. That's the value system of spirituality. A man's life does not consist in the abundance of things he possesses. That is a spiritual, transpersonal value system. So when a leader has that kind of value system, when they get to power, they will now understand that this power is for a purpose. Are you getting it, sir? Based on spiritual value system, that you brought nothing to this world and you take nothing. I spent 4 years in medical school. Sir, the worst dead body is human body. Those days when they take light in medical school, you cannot eat for 2 days. The stench that come from our anatomy laboratory, you can't eat for 2 days. I remember the first day I went to do my practical in anatomy. I entered a room like this, call it our cadaver room. 40 dead people. 40. I came back to the room and I was quiet. My roommate, they know that I'm very playful. I said, What happened to you? You are so quiet. I said, just came back from the land of the dead. They thought I was joking. For 3 days, I could not eat meat. And I like pomo. I don't know the English name for pomo. So I like this. I could not eat meat because of what I saw. You saw bodies with hairstyle, fresh bodies. And then you now look at life. So what is this life? What is this life? So that is the value system, the leadership that your 10th generation cannot spend. Imagine somebody, just one person, embezzle money that your 10th generation cannot finish. That is madness. That is mental health. And then they dig ground, put the money there, and then termites were eating the money. That is coming from a value system called materialism. So if those value systems are not changed, we are still going to suffer in leadership in the future. And the danger is your generation is taking the same value system from us. Let's be honest. Pardon me, Pastor. I'm going to be very honest. If we don't intervene now and focus on you people, you will even graduate that value system. Can I believe you? You see this place of ritual killings in Nigeria now. I know you see it on social media. When young boys will say to an herbalist that just for one day to be rich, they've sold their soul to the devil. One day to so desperate for money and power. And at the end of the day, how are they going to do? They'll get the money and then G-Wagon. And then you see videos on Facebook when they will become mad. They just leave the car and they will run mad. Because the demons will be chasing them. Because they went to the devil. Whenever the devil gives you something, hey, don't pray to be an in-law of the devil. Because he will come and visit you. Anything he gives to you, he will look at you, he will play you. Then one night, he said, hello, how are you? Eat my back. Any value system that is not of God cannot stand the test of time. And that's why we believe in spirituality as a value system. And that's what we teach in transpersonal leadership. That leadership should be driven by ethical values, by commitment to moral standard. That's it. Because we came to this world empty. We go back what? Empty. So when you know that between the two emptiness, your life has a purpose. So you understand that leadership is for a purpose. I told my brother here, Pastor, last time I saw Pastor, I was just a senior lecturer about 8 years ago. And God has been I don't know which word can I use for God. You know when your life changes 360, that even you stand in the mirror, you cannot even recognize yourself. I pray such miracle happen in your life. Amen. That you begin to ask yourself, because when you understand your journey, okay, where you came from. That's why, when I started this morning, I said to you, I'm from Nigeria, where God lives. In fact, I'm specifically from Elisha. That is the headquarters of God. But other towns and the environment, God visited occasionally on request. But he permanently resided in my hometown called Elisha. That is where you see God. And I can give you his phone number, by the way, so that you can speak to him. So when you look at yourself as an economic immigrant, because whether we like it, that's what we call us, okay? And God, by his divine favor, that's it, nothing, lifts you to a position. If you don't understand the purpose, you abuse it. And that's what we're teaching you today. Every position has a purpose. When I became an ambassador, what has never happened in the history of Nigeria, I was not born in Hawaii. I was born in Elisha. I became the first Nigerian to be appointed as an ambassador of a foreign kingdom in America. When I got the letter, I couldn't sleep. I was sleepless. I didn't even realize the gravity of that when I went to Nigeria the first time. When Kano State government called me and sir, from the airport, they were siren. I was speaking myself. Even my auntie came from Abuja, they didn't allow me to see my auntie. There was security around me. And I said, am I becoming a politician? Even when the protocol guy came, I went to sit in the front. He said, Ambassador, you sit in the back. He whispered to me, he said, that protocol, sit in the back. And the soldiers with gun, siren, everybody was waiting at the airport. And when I came, I said, so you are all waiting for me. From Malaysia. I sat down. I rolled on the floor. I give God the glory. And I said, God, why are you opening this door for me? That's it. Why did you open this door? You know, when your signature, I tell people, when your signature can literally change somebody's life forever. Just 3 weeks ago, I appointed 3 honorary consuls in Canada, Eswatini, and 2 in Nigeria. They became honorary ambassador by my signature. So you can see how powerful God can turn your life to be. But it comes with what? Responsibility. Knowing the purpose. I still carry my bag. I'm not going to tell you, this is my bag. Because it's my bag. Yeah? It's my bag. Not your bag. If you don't understand that value today, don't let it get into your head. You see that? Don't let what? Get into your head. I always say to people, when you pray, God promotes me, lifts me. God has no problem with the promotion. The only problem is that, can you handle the glory? Are you with me? And that's what we talk about transpersonal values, spiritual values, handling the glory. One of the root words for glory means weight, and I love boxing. You know that pattern weight, lightweight, featherweight, heavyweight. Anthony Joshua, smart guy. You lose for your purpose and make money. So the weight of glory comes with leadership. And if you don't have the foundational value system, it can crush you. And those values come with spiritual values. That's it. And that's our argument in transpersonal leadership. That is, those spiritual values is what sustain you. Don't forget, we are all human flesh. And some of the promotions, we are not matured enough to handle it. I won't mention name. Popular pastors in Nigeria that you see on TV. The moment I became an ambassador and it was on LinkedIn, I started getting phone calls. If I tell you the amount of money that I this year, you hear from my money, is it this? Is it you? And if you are not careful, that's how you start corrupting the position. Some of you saw this guy in Zimbabwe, a prophet called Angel. You saw it? Yeah. He was given the same thing I was given. He was made an ambassador. And he started embezzling the gold in the country. And Al Jazeera sent a spy reporter. Is there on the internet? And he's a man of God. Quote and unquote. He was an ambassador. Just the same thing I am. Because the privileges that come with an ambassador is enormous. Last December, I was invited to House of Parliament in London for a Christmas dinner. But the House of Parliament that you see on news, those days when I was still on the visiting visa, when I see police, I will run. Now imagine you, the same that person, now you are entering House of Parliament and the security are paving the way. And everybody from the entrance said, "Oh, Ambassador, welcome." And I was speaking to myself. I said, "Is it me?" I took picture. I said, "Is it me?" That's God. But there is a purpose in that position. You have to understand. And this purpose is understandable by having spiritual values. It's not for you to brag. No. It's for an assignment. That's what we're talking about, transpersonal leadership. A transpersonal leader understands that every position is what? Assignment. You have become God's agent of change. You see that? It is not for you, to say, don't you know me? You don't know my story. There's no story, there's no glory. You have to understand. No. When I came back from Nigeria, my Baba lives around like an hour to my house. So he saw my video at Kano State government doing my visit there as an ambassador. So the guy saw my video, and then when I came back, I went back to the air. So I jumped on the bus. So I came in. I noticed he was looking at me. I said, "Okay, what happened? Are you okay?" He said, "Ambassador." I said, "What?" He said, "You see, take public transport." I said, "What is wrong with that?" Because he knows I'm in Nigeria. So he was expecting me to see bodyguard around him. I said, I didn't see money now. Wait now. He was expecting me to see all the paraphernalia. I said, no. I said, it's okay. I said, even that time is coming. I said, that one is coming, but they won't dress. You won't even know them. There will just be some meters around me. You won't even know for security reasons. So you won't even know that security around me. So I told him, I said, there's no need for that. But he said, are you a usual Nigerian? I said, stop that. What do you mean? And I know where it's coming from. The value system of showing off. So it takes a transpersonal mindset that understands spiritual values, that every position is for an assignment. That's it. That is what I want us to establish. The position of leadership is for what? An assignment. It's an assignment. So God puts people in position of leadership to fulfill His purpose. That's it. It's not for. Don't get me wrong. There is a blessing that comes with position of leadership. I would like to you have access to many things. The state pays everything. They pay. The state. You are now the property of the state. Your kids, everything is paid for. Of course, you thank God for that. But the real thing is that position is for what? An assignment. And that is a transpersonal mindset. Understanding that my leadership position is for what? An assignment. Don't forget that. It's for an assignment. And a transpersonal leader is a person that believes in understanding the spiritual assignment behind my leadership position. I'll say it again. This is the core value of a transpersonal leader. They know and they understand that there is a spiritual assignment behind every leadership position. That's it. Are you getting it? That is the mindset of a transpersonal leader. A transpersonal leader knows. So you now see a transpersonal leader with humility, with the fear of God, because they know that it is God that lifts people. He can lift one and put the other down. So they walk in the fear of God. I pray that our world will have such leaders. Amen. Imagine if our leader has this kind of value system. They have the fear of God, that this position is for what? A spiritual assignment. As a transpersonal leader, you believe that you are a liberator to liberate people from the dungeon of slavery. That when a leader comes with that kind of value system, what they do is that they are looking for the welfare of the people they lead. Because they see the potential of the people. They want to bring them out to be the best. And what they do, they create opportunities. Are you know? A transpersonal leader does what? It creates opportunities for people. Which is what we are saying today. It's a spiritual. They understand that my position has a spiritual assignment. Example in the Bible, Daniel. You all know that Daniel's story in the Bible? Mm-hmm. He was a diplomat. Isn't that Daniel? He's here. He understood that this position God put me is for what? An assignment. And when you have that mindset as a transpersonal leader, you begin to deal with your life carefully based on values. The honorary consul of Georgia to Croatia emailed me And he said, if I'm interested in buying some properties, he sent it to me, he said, check it out, Ambassador. Then I said to my son, I said to my assistant, I said, see this thing. I said, wow, Ambassador. I said, don't say wow, I will slap you. Which one? I said, this is how the devil traps people. If you don't understand their purpose, understand. Thank you.
Hello? Okay. Wow. How did we feel about this short lecture? How did we feel? When I used to say, okay, when I see some difficulties, I will look at how they will explain that to me today, then I will understand. When I look at the word transpersonal, I'm like, I check dictionary, I check Google, I'm like, ooh, but honestly, I understand it perfectly. There is nothing, if there is anyone that does not understand it, because he really break it in the simplest way. And I think we should give him another round of applause. Thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful session. It stays. So we want to introduce the next speaker now. And when she was behind me at the media room, later I went to check her LinkedIn. I'm like, no. I'm like, no. So I had to come to her and say, how should I introduce you? Because if I should start with what I say in LinkedIn, it's already enough to be a lecture. So I want to introduce Madam Moyosola Okoye, who is a business executive and works in the area of strategy and transformation, and has a lot of years of experience in mentoring, and I like this last phrase, he enjoys spending her spare time exploring the world and staying with her family. And what she wants to talk about is purpose. And I think it's another big word that somebody still, we still have, the best person to come and help us to unravel today. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. It's really a privilege being here. Thanks for inviting me, Pastor. Thank you very much. And thanks for those that are here and anybody else that is listening. I also want to thank my family and my husband for letting me come, because Saturday is almost like a sacred day for us. So it was really a sacrifice for him to say you can go for the whole day. So thank you to all that have made me to be here. Please, media, can you please keep my own slides on? Don't show my face, just keep the slides. Okay, so I'm going to focus on purpose, and actually I would say it's more like purpose with leadership. And a lot of us here are young, so I don't know about you. I feel I'm the youngest in the room, so it depends on what your age is. It's all about the mind. So I'm going to talk about purpose. Maybe it's my question. Okay, so I'm gonna start with purpose, right? And then I'll just talk a little bit about tips on how to discover your purpose, and then I'm gonna go into leadership, but I'm focusing a lot more. Pastor already defined very well transpersonal, psychology and leadership. So I'm focusing on an area of self-awareness. So he talked about consciousness, and I think at this stage in our lives, I think we need to think a lot more about that self-awareness. What does it mean? How do we get there? And how do we use it to develop ourselves even better? So now I'm just going to kick off. Please go to the next slide. I'm just going to use my tablet. So if you could go to the to the next slide. I think I've already said what I'm going to say on that one. So let's go straight to the slide on what's purpose. What's your purpose? And I think the Bible is really clear. There's so many verses about purpose in the Bible, and you'll see some verses. We don't have so much time to read through. I thought I would get the whole time to do that. So what we're going to do is that you can take those verses, right, and then you can read them on your own. But I think the one I wanted to just get us into is that the summary of everything the Bible says, of all the messages, is that love your God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. Now, it sounds very simple, but when you read the whole Bible, that's kind of where it lands, right? So the first purpose really is about loving God with our heart, our whole heart. Our second purpose is loving our neighbor as ourselves. Now, what does that really mean? Please could you go to the next slide? And what that means is, I just decided to choose 4 areas of what the Bible says about purpose and how it works for us. So the first thing the Bible says about purpose is that we have been created in the likeness of God, in the image of God. Now, what does that really mean? What that means is that because we've been created in the image and the likeness of God, our first purpose on earth is to be mini-gods. And Reverend Essence did say that we are God, small g. So that's our first purpose. If we are mini-gods, that means that God is recreating himself on earth for people to see how he is and what he does and what we need to be. So that's the first thing. So that's kind of a burden if you think about it, because we are always supposed to behave in the image and the likeness of God. So that's the first thing. The second one is the fact that we have been uniquely created. When you read Jeremiah, he does say that, we've been uniquely and distinctly created for purpose. I don't remember exactly how he said, but it's Jeremiah 29:11, and you can read it. I think I'll just read that one in particular. Give me a second. I'll read that one in particular. So it's Jeremiah 29:11, and it's very specific about our purpose. What we do. Just give me a second, and I'll read that one out. Well, if anybody's there before me, you can please go ahead and read it. If you're faster than me. Oh, shucks. Is somebody there? If somebody is there, somebody should read it too. Jeremiah 29, verse 11. Okay, I think I'm finally there. I'm even struggling to see. Okay, it says, For I know the plans and thoughts that I have for you, says the Lord, plans for peace and well-being, and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope. So what does this tell you? This tells you that God has a plan. Recently I was reading Leviticus, and every year I tend to read Leviticus. It's the most boring book in the Bible, but it's the best book of the Bible. It's the only book of the Bible where there is specifications. When people say there is no God, it's very interesting for me. When you read Leviticus, the principle of antibiotics and infection is in the Bible. God talks about, you wait for 7 days. When they give you antibiotics, they say use it for 7 days. How did they know that? God talks about, there's a color that it's going to have, and how it's going to have pus. Now, when you have pus or things coming out, the color, creamy color, they always say you have an infection. How did they know that if it's not in the Bible? God talks about redemption in the Bible. There's geography in the Bible. There's history in the Bible. There is medicine in the Bible. There's engineering in the Bible. In that same Leviticus, he talks about how they're going to build places, the type of instruments to use, the type of materials to put together. If you ever have an opportunity to go to Egypt, the pyramids that the Egyptians built, which when you read history dates back to around the time the Israelites were also there, it is one of the most earthquake-safe thing ever. Earthquake cannot break down those pyramids, ever. It can't. They've tried everything. People are studying ancient Egyptian history. till tomorrow. They are studying it in Germany, they are studying it everywhere. Why? Because there's something there that they cannot unpick, right? It's very, and so that's why, so the Bible is very clear that God has a plan. Our job is to find that plan. That is the critical thing. It is to find a plan. What is the plan for you? Because if the plan for you is not the plan for me, I am different to you. I am uniquely created. And His purpose and plan for me is different to the purpose and plan for you. Now, the third part is we've been created to worship and glorify Him. And if you think about all the times that God keeps on, whether it's destroying the world or getting upset or blessing someone, it's all about the people that worship and glorify Him. Think about Abraham, right? They say he's the most righteous man, but he's also the one that really glorified God. Think about Moses. Even despite all these walkabouts, did this, he walked away from his purpose, he ran away, they pulled him back. Nineveh, God sends him a message. He says, not me. He climbed, he worked hard, he brought him back again, right? But our job, what? It is to worship and glorify God. That's the other thing. So that means that even when you understand your purpose, when you understand your plan, when you've been placed somewhere, wherever, you need to show that, one, you're a mini God, right? Two, you are there for a plan. Three, you are there to glorify God. So because you got money doesn't mean you're going to come and do, I better pass my neighbor, because you are not better than your neighbor. It's because there's a plan, there's a purpose, and it is to glorify God. And the last bit that I want to touch on is that we all have a role. The Bible says that, in the Bible it does say that we are the body of Christ. So if you think about body parts, right, the heart, the job of the heart is not the job of the blood. The job of the hand is not the job of the leg. The job of the eyes is not the job of the mouth. So there is no need to be fighting. It always amazes me when Christians fight each other and do uplift each other. Every time I look at the Jewish community and the Muslim community, I am blown away. And there was a time I've been asking a question to all the Jewish friends I have, and I always say, are there beggars in Israel? Because I know I don't see any poor Jew in the West, but are there beggars in Israel? And they said, no, there's no beggar. And I have been craving to go to Israel to find, and I said this question, I'm going to ask if somebody can answer me, because nobody can tell me that there's no poor Jew. There has to be a poor Jew, and there has to be some that beg. It's just not possible. And luckily, I did go to Israel, and I did ask. I asked the guy, I said, please, this thing has been bothering me for a very long time. In fact, the guy had a good laugh. I said, please, tell me, why are there no beggars on the streets? I asked, why? Somebody has to explain it to me. And he said, that's because from a community point of view, the ones that are rich, part of their own role is to pull the other ones. Now they have the Orthodox Jews, they don't work. The only thing they do is just to read the Torah. That's all they do. They are probably the poorest, but they are living very well. That's why they had all these recent riots and all. They were saying that their taxes are becoming too much. But let's leave that. In fact, one of my very friends that was saying, I was arguing with her, I said, what's interesting for me? Those guys that you claim are living on the government, because all they do all day is they just read the Torah. I said, those guys are the ones that has been sustaining Israel. It's probably the tiniest country, maybe after Vatican, but it is one of the most powerful countries. Anything you see in technology, don't be fooled, it came from Israel. Things that work in your phone was discovered there. Everything in Silicon Valley on tech, most of it is from Israel. So when you think about it, why are they so powerful? Why? Yes, the Bible has said they will be, but it's also because all of them know their role. Nobody is fighting. The heart is not fighting the hand. The hand is not fighting the leg. The nail, because even the nail has a role. The nail is not fighting, with the skin, right? So I think it's critical that for all of us, we need to say, what's that plan for me? But then what's my role?
in bringing God's purpose on earth to us. Because the minute you don't know your role is why, because this person has this job in tech and is now a director, and me, I'm a teacher, you have a problem with that. But that's your purpose. If you know it's your purpose, before you know it, you will be more successful than even the tech person. Why? Because that's your purpose. Your definition of success is not that person's definition of success. So your role, if there is nothing else you do, that role is critical. Because for me, the Christian community is the most cantankerous community. We are the ones, we pull ourselves down, we backbite with so many things. There are times it stresses me to go to church. I'm being very honest. It does stresses me at times because there's just some people I just avoid because it's just too much for me to process. And it's even when you explain it, it looks like you're in another world. But then you know why? Because I know my role, right? Because if I am the heart and you are the arteries, you have a job, right? You are the artery. I need to pump through the arteries, so I need you to pump through the arteries, right? So whatever it is that your role is, it's important that you know it. Very, very important, especially when you're still young. The next slide. Now, when you understand God's purpose, you understand all this, the next thing is, how do you really, really, really understand your purpose in God's plan, right? We can read the Bible. Bible is the mind of God, so the God's plan is there. So I think that it may not be clear, but it's kind of clear. But you can then ask yourself, what's my passion? Because your passion can help you also to start feeling comfortable with your role. Because that's the other thing. You need to feel comfortable with yourself in your role. Because imagine if you're just the nail. The nail will grow, it will cut. To grow, it will cut. So you actually look insignificant in a way. So it's almost like, how do you feel comfortable being insignificant? Right? I've heard some testimonies of some people in church where there was this church and there's this brother. All he does is come, arrange chair. Well, nobody knows him, literally. Right? And then he prays. And the pastor fought with him. I can't remember what it was that the pastor fought with him. And they said, anyway, it's not like he does anything. The next Sunday when people came, chairs were not properly arranged. It was scattered. People were complaining. The next Sunday, there was lots of chaos. By the third Sunday, some people were not coming. And then by 6 weeks, the church had halved. And they started praying. And somebody said, is this brother X? And the pastor said, but he doesn't really do anything. Then they now started listening. This is what he does. He does this, he does this, he does this. He knew his role and he did his role amazingly well. And when he wasn't there, it was felt. So you go and lose a nail and you will know what it means about the significance of that nail, right? So your passion, discovering your passion could be that it's something that is in you, it's a skill, it's something you're comfortable with, something that you do naturally, or it could be something that you developed also, or it could be something that your environment has helped you to develop. We've all grown up in different environments, whether the home or the outside. I was listening to a psychologist, I think a couple of days ago, and he said a lot of parents, they have sheep, and they want the sheep to become a dog. So they keep on saying, this child is going to be a dog. They keep on doing so many things. But the psychologist now said, but what happens is that the child came with some traits. And there's going to be a lot of external things that's going to shape the traits. So the job of the parents is the shepherd. It's not to turn the sheep into a dog. It's to design the sheep to be successful. So that means that, of course, I'm not saying that, okay, you not take the child to one robot, you're just go on your own. No, but that's psychology, you get the child into an environment that they can try. You help them think. You help them. You expose them so that they become the best sheep they can be, but not that they become a dog, right? So really, on this one, that when it comes to also that passion, you need to then be able to say, based on my passion, how does it connect back to the purpose of God? Because you will lose it. It reminds me of Joseph in the Bible. Joseph was very passionate. He was dreaming. He had a lot of dreams, right? But he didn't know his purpose. And that's why he kept on getting into trouble. He didn't know his purpose. It was around the time he became the prime minister. I think that's when he now understood what his purpose was. So I pray that won't be a Joseph, but that will keep on going. But the only thing I say about Joseph every time is that, he's the one that gave me confidence that you can be in another country, you can be a so-called second-class citizen and be the best, just as passionate. And I say, that's how he won't be serious. Is that what we sent him to do? He's supposed to focus on the books. He's supposed to do that. But the point is that is his natural trait, right? Now, I've been telling my husband, we need to then help him own it to something that makes sense. He said, the only thing for me, it cannot make sense that he becomes a comedian. I said, I didn't say he should be a comedian. I just said, let us at least help him see why does he enjoy making other people. He has compassion. So I think when I said, okay, now you've said it in English, okay, maybe we can talk about compassion. I say, let's at least look for those traits, those words, and let's help him channel his energies to things that he won't be always going uphill battle about something, right? And that's kind of where, and then you now see, what it goes. The next one is appreciate. I think I have 3 slides after, so maybe I'll jump onto the slides. And the last one is action. So on the acknowledgement, I think the only thing I just wanted to mention there in that one on acknowledgement is that, it drives your ambition, because once you acknowledge, once you really understand, it helps you to start to think, it helps you start to think of your ambition. Because now this is the things I do very easily. This is the things that actually I enjoy, and then this can help me with my ambition. This can help me to pull. And then you also don't start going for somebody else's ambition, right? Because then somebody else's ambition doesn't upset you. It doesn't become competition. I say my own limits. That the most brilliant people, even those with Nobel Prize, the maximum percent of your brain you use is not more than 12%. So you cannot imagine those of us that like to sleep. Maybe it's 1 or 2. Apparently, the average person doesn't know than 3% of their brain. That's just the science there. So why am I competing with you when I still have 97% of my brain to use? It's just about unlocking it. It's not about competing with you. And that's when once you get to that space, then nobody becomes a threat to you again. It's not a problem for you, because you can then define your ambition right by yourself. The second point is on appreciating your potential. Those of us blow my trumpet because they should see my hard work, my diligence, my this, my that. Now I work in the corporate world, so my example is going to be corporate. In the corporate world, nobody is going to blow your trumpets, because everybody else is busy blowing their own. So, possible. So if you are waiting that somebody is going to blow my trumpet, my brother, my sister, honestly, nothing. No. You are not there. It just means that you are on your own for a very long time. And it's also the same thing I noticed that, a lot of black people, especially in Europe, it's quite limiting. We reach a place and we just can't go above that place. We just have this natural ceiling, there for us. Even in the schools, I just fought my son's school. This was at the beginning of this year. The subject he has the highest score in, they now told me he cannot do it. He has his last 2 years next year. He cannot do it. I said, who made you judge and whatever to tell me he cannot do it? You should tell me, what does he need to prove to be able to do it? Now, why did I fight them? Because, I get involved with youths a lot. I just enjoy it because I've been seeing that there's a question I've also been asking. How many people have seen a black doctor in France that studied in France? When you see, please tell me. I've been looking. I have found a couple, Cameroonian, but they didn't study in France. I've asked all my French friends. I'm not joking. This is the research I've done. I don't need I've just been asking. Someone should just tell me. And in fact, I have an Algerian friend who, her sister studied in France. She's a doctor. And I had dinner with her. I said, please now, which black person was in your class? From secondary school, just tell me. I just want to know. She answered, now that I'm thinking about it, you are right. We didn't have. So I just, maybe I'm just being too, what's it called? Maybe I'm being too, how do I put it, too negative, right? But this is the research I'm doing. Why? Because I'm also selfish. I have kids studying here. So I need to know what I'm fighting against for my kids to start with, right? So that's where this comes in for me, is that I have acknowledged my children's potential. I know what it is. I've worked with them. I don't care what an expert tells me. My husband always tells the so-called expert, my kids have had to see experts for different things. And my husband will tell them, I respect your point of view, but you only spend 30 minutes. I've been spending X number of hours with this child. So your point of view just tells me what you saw in 30 minutes. But I didn't see some of that in the number of years I have spent. So I hear your recommendation, but I'm allowed as a parent not to take it. And that is exactly the point. And that's also for you. See, experts are there to guide. They're not there to rule. So if you know your potential, and I'm going to get to how you could also appreciate your potential, but if you know your potential and you have a community around you helping you to own that potential, to sharpen that potential, don't listen to anything anybody else is telling you. At all. At all. Because you know what? Nobody in the world is waiting to raise you up. At all. Nobody. If you're not there to raise yourself up, I'm sorry, you're on your own. You're totally on your own. And that's very important for you to think about when it comes to the potential. Now, I'm just going to go quickly to the last bit before I go to the leadership, because I'm watching the time too on this. So for the leadership piece, the last bit is to take action. There's no humility in being modest, right? If you've already discovered your plan, you already know your role, you have your passion, you know your ambition, you understand your potential, you know all these things. What are you sitting down for now? What else is left? See, even the Bible says, faith, you need to take action. You can have all the faith. We are amazing in praying. We know how to pray, we know how to fast. Some of us will do 40 days fast, 21-day dry fast, 100 days fast. After all the fast, just to send a CV or just to make a phone call to somebody that may give you a different perspective about your situation, you are not ready to do it. So who are you helping? You've put in all the work. What the prayer does is that the prayer softens the ground for you. The prayer also helps you to see opportunities that you haven't seen before. That's what it does. But at the end of the day, anything you want to do is going to be done through a human being. That's a fact. It's going to be a human being. So you need to take action. Do the jump. Jump, run for it. I'm going to go into... The next slide should be on... you guys are so behind. Okay, could you continue until you get to the... Just move on. And get to... just go straight to the slide on the attributes of self-aware leaders. Yeah. So, this, as you know, this talk is about purpose. So the first one is purpose and defining your passion, and how it helps you with your purpose. And here I'm just going to walk you through very quickly self-awareness, because, the transpersonal piece is about that consciousness. And so I'm just going to focus on that leadership attributes for that self-aware leaders. A lot of us say we are leaders, right? But most of us don't know how to follow. That's one. Other thing is that some of us think being a leader means they're just going to order people around. Hey, go there. Ha! This is you. No. You know what I mean? But being a leader also means that you need to be an effective leader. You need to have a level of self-awareness. And a lot of leaders don't have self-awareness. That's how you have incompetent leaders. So you talked a lot about our leaders and their incompetence. That is true. A lot of leaders don't. And even, I will try some biblical examples if I still have the time. But, even in the Bible, some of the best leaders were the self-aware leaders. So you think about Daniel. Daniel, for me, is the best example of a leader in a corporate world that was very self-aware. He did not drop his spirituality. He did not drop his talent. And he did not drop his competency. He embodied everything. And, it's very unusual, but he served amongst at least 2 or 3 administrations. Because when you start thinking of some of the times of the Bible they were talking about him, it wasn't in only one administration. Normally with government things, it's kind of like, you'd serve this one. Now, when the government is going, you go with them. Yeah. But he remained. That meant that he had a level of competency that they wanted, and he was delivering. So if you go to the next slide, can we start on, I want to take the 7. So I'm going to start with be curious on the 7. Oh, thank you. Good. So the first thing as a leader is curiosity. You need to be curious enough to want to know first. They say seek to understand before you want to be understood. A lot of us listen to answer. You need to listen to collect insights, to gather data. You need to learn how to keep quiet and do active listening, empathic listening. Because when you listen, you're going to hear what the person did not say. And that's where you become a very good leader. Because if you don't hear what the person did not say, you cannot come up with things that is going to make sense for the person or that is going to engage the person. So listening helps you to ask the right questions. Listening helps you to uncover, the right insights. If we go to the next one, connection. This one is critical. You need to create connection, and there's no age too young to create connection, because the connection you create is what is going to actually free you. You need to create connection, because your connection is going to help you to nurture relationships. You nurture yourself, you nurture others. When you don't have connection, you cannot be successful. There's no island, right? And the connection, you need to think of different types of connection. And I'm going to get to community after. But on the connection, there was an assignment somebody said once. They said, can you think of 5 people where if you have an emergency, they will drop everything? So it's different types. It could be money emergency. It could be academic emergency. It could be information, just something bothering you. It could be gist emergency, just somebody to talk to. If you cannot get 5, either you have a problem or everybody around you, you need to remove yourself from them. There was a day my son's school called us and said, for those of you that know Paris a bit, we live in Versailles, he goes to school in Paris. So they called and they said they didn't see him after the break, that he's not back in school. Okay, it was my husband they called. And we have this app thing, it's connected to my phone so I can track him. I wasn't around, so my husband called me and said, can you check where he is on your phone? So I checked and I said, this says he's around the school, but it looks like his phone is switched off, because I could also see that his phone was switched off. So he now told me, I couldn't even talk. When I was in the meeting, I left the meeting, my head was scattered. This is not time to pray or anything. I couldn't even think. The first thing I did was I called my spiritual mentor. And she picked up the phone immediately. I told her, she said, calm down. And then she said, just calm down, I'll call you back. As I finished talking to her, I was already crying. I said, what am I going to find 18? What am I doing? Which language am I going to speak to say, hello, I'm looking, if somebody is lost? Where am I starting from? I called another friend of mine. He's French, but he's not based in France, he's in Tunisia. I called him, he picked up immediately also, office hours. And I told him what was going on. And he just said, okay, Mayor, calm down. I'll send you a number to call. I'll talk to them. Let me call them now. I'll just talk to them. they can help you start looking. Where's your husband? I said, he's already going to Paris. I said, okay, I'll call him also. At this time, I could not process. But you know what? The connection I had, first of all, gave me a small peace of mind before I broke down again. Within 15 minutes, my spiritual mentor called me back and said, well, there's nothing. He's okay. He'll be found. He's not lost. I said, what? He said, no, I'm serious. He said, I want to go out. I'll call you back. He's not lost. The guy called me back and said, call the school again. By the time he was calling me back, said, call the school again. The school had called my husband. I said, sorry, we found him. Actually, he was in another class. We didn't know. We didn't realize that he was supposed to be in that class. I said, I said, you have to sue these people. Yeah. For just giving heart attack. What kind of conversation is that one? You have to sue. But the moral of the story was that day, I actually realized the power of relationships. In that kind of situation, who could I call? Because at times, maybe I don't know what to do. But just because I'm distressed, who could I call? Right? So if you don't have anybody to call, or if somebody just call, is there somebody you can call now and say, I'm looking for 1K. Can you give me? Is there somebody like that that will say, you know what, I do have, I want to use it, I'll give it to you. When can you give it back to me? And you are also very upright with how you give back. Do you know what I mean? Like, so who is your connection? The next one I want to talk about is confidence. You need to be confident but not arrogant. Because a lot of us, when they say confidence equals arrogance. It's like, I know I'm better. Confidence actually means, number one, you're actually vulnerable enough to ask for help. Confidence also means that if you're sure of your values, your principles, your mission, your purpose, your plan, you will be confident in how you do them, in what you do. And that type of confidence is what you need. Not the arrogance, not the superhero one. Not, this one will just expose my age. When I was growing up, my own cartoon was Voltron, Defender of the Universe. So not confidence of, it's me. It's me. I am Voltron. I'm Defender of the Universe. Not that type of confidence. That's not what it is. It is confidence in your principles, your beliefs, confidence in who you are, what you know you can do. You know, there are times I've said there are some industries I cannot work in. I don't have a problem with the people that work in that industry. Me, I can't. Why? Because of my principles and my beliefs is why I can't work there. Now, has it cost me? Yes, it has. Those industries are the ones that pay the best, by the way. So it has cost me, of course. I have had to decline. I've had to, there's some interviews I will start, they say it's confidential. Okay, what's in this? They say, I say, I'm sorry, but you know what, I won't take the job, we will now gist. Say, okay, just in case if you change your mind, this is the package, this is it. And say, okay, I just know I won't change because now it's too late. I've rejected so many times, I cannot collect it now. You know, so it's the confidence I have that God will take care of me. It's the confidence I have that I know my purpose. It's the confidence that I have that the values I have. So that's kind of what the confidence I'm talking about, not arrogance. And with that confidence, you don't struggle with self-esteem because you know now. You struggle with self-esteem when you are trying to compare yourself. But when you have that confidence in God's purpose for you, in that plan, you don't struggle with self-esteem. The next slide. The other thing is that you need to be conscious of your strengths and weaknesses. And actually, the best leaders actually know their weaknesses, and they try to bring the right people around them to help them with those weaknesses. So actually, it's actually great when you know your weakness. It's not a bad thing at all. You know, there's a lot of ways you can know your strengths and weaknesses. There's a lot of personality tests you can do. A lot of them are free. You know, just to start to even process what's my area of strength. See, when you know your strength, it also helps you to be more confident. Because for me, all the times I've done personality tests, it actually helps me to explain myself better, right? So it gives me the words that can help me to explain the words better. The other thing is competence. When some of us, all we've just had is we just finished from school first degree, that's it. Nothing, don't know anything. We'll say we want to open business. I'm not against business. Go and read about the Christians that have opened business, CEOs. I've read about Colgate, I've read about Marriott, I've read about Rockefeller, just for inspiration for myself also to grow. And you see that all of them, everybody, they paid dues. All of them were apprentices first in something. Actually, they also failed, funny enough. I know Pastor Gert is going to talk about entrepreneurship later, but the point I'm making is that you can't just go from zero to hero. It doesn't work overnight, right? There's something you have to put into it. There's experience you have to put into it. There's that continuous level of growth. There's trainings, there's adaptability. You need to always ask yourself, what next? What next? The world has changed so much, right? Reverend Nelson, you're talking about when you started on laptops, right? The first time you see laptop, the first time. The question is, for the people that started working at that time, that did not have laptop or phone, and they're still working till now, ask me, if they don't adapt, grow, learn, do, wouldn't they be dinosaurs by now? They would have become dinosaurs now. They would have gone extinct. Easy. It's not argument. Even for me, when I started, working, the type of work I was doing is very different. Whatever you call strategy, last time is different to whatever it is now. You keep on learning, you keep on growing, you keep on reading. If you have to go back to school, go back to school. There is no shame. If you have to do trainings, do trainings. The one thing I always say to my kids is that the day you stop learning is the day you start dying. That's it. It's the day you start dying. And learning doesn't mean you start carrying academic papers. A lot of us have, Nigerians, we love certificates. A lot of us have certificates, but we're not educated at all. We are educated illiterates. A lot of us. So that's a fact. So I'm not asking you to go and be collecting paper. I'm asking you to be educated. That means that your curiosity, your capacity, your capability actually grows. You took something away, you implemented it, you're using it again, you're going back again. That is learning. Not our usual, now I have masters, now I have this, I have that. I'm guilty, so don't worry. If you read my LinkedIn profile, I'm very guilty. I have 3 masters I finished and 1 I didn't finish, so I did 4. So I'm very guilty. Don't worry. So I'm not here to say it because I want to pull any of you down. But it's just the fact is that we do a lot of paper, but we are not educated. So it's really, I've met people that haven't read quarter of what I've read, and they are mentoring me. So so that is when I knew that I was an educated illiterate. Very, very much, right? The last bit on this slide is community. And you people are still on this one. When I moved to the last one. The last bit on this slide is community. No one is an island at all. No one is an island. You need to have a community. What is your community? And I talked to, like I said, I mentored quite a bit of youth. I talked to a lot of youth, and they would tell me, no, they don't understand. I'm like, but what? You're choosing the wrong profile. One of the things that I know I made the mistake, and I'm just literally catching up, is I know about spiritual mentors. I understand about, general mentors, life mentor, life coach, but I never knew about career mentors. And when I started getting frustrated, this one now, I even know this was they won't promote me. Why now? What's going on? This. I now realized that it's not because you're actually better. It's because of their network. It's because of the community that they have. So I said, okay, this is how it works, Abi. Very good. So some of the youth I mentor, I tell them, I'm not mentoring you because I want to mentor you. I'm very selfish. I'm mentoring you because by the time you are up there, you'll be able to bring my own children in. My children will not suffer to be able to move up the ladder. So better know now that as I'm investing in you, you are not going anywhere. You're going to pay it at that time. There's going to be return on investments. I mean, they laugh when I say it. And I say, let all of us be laughing. laughing, but when it's time to pay, I will come and knock. I'll remind you. Fine. To be honest, I start with it jokingly, and that's the truth. Because like I always say, the person you help is not the one that will help you. That's the truth. But the point is that the more I look at the corporate ladder, the less I see black people. The very less I see black people. So within the corporate world, in my company, in Europe, I'm the most senior black human being. White, black, yellow, blue. I'm the most senior one. So you ask yourself, if you are alone and you stay there alone, he who chops alone dies alone. So the earlier you start creating, even like the Bible says, mini gods. The earlier you start creating all the people that are going to be coming, the better, so that you don't die alone and suffer alone. And because of that, all these companies, they claim EDI, this one, that one, equity, diversion. Okay, let's leave that one. Story for another day. I'm sure I can spend an hour on that one, so we'll leave that. But it's not really about us, really. Diversity, I hate to say, and it's not politically correct, it's really more about sexuality diversity. That is the real thing they're trying to do. It's not about black or at all. And at the end of the day, you just see that you need to create your community. And that's critical. So if you don't start to ask yourself, who are my community? And honestly, you're not too young to create your community. Because your community, even if it's academics, right? So who are the people that's going to help you succeed? When I was studying, I'm a very lazy student. So I just made sure, I just profiled the students I always wanted to be in their midst. They were the ones that would remind me about assignments. They were the ones that would have read something and they would come and read. They would come and explain it in their words. So I go faster just because of the community. For some of you, it could be that, you're at that phase where you want to get married, or at that phase where you start working. What's your community? Your community will evolve, but you need a community. You cannot succeed without one. It's just not possible at all. And we blacks, we are very, very good in praying. And our community ends up being prayers. Now, like I say, I have so many different types of community. I have gay friends. In fact, I have to manage them. I have to do policies about them. So I do have gay friends. They serve a purpose when they have to serve a purpose. So it's not, this for me, this is not about hatred or one piece, one other. No. The Bible already said it. We live in the world. We're just not of the world. And everybody around me knows I'm a Christian. My gay friends even come and ask me for advice. And I will say, hey, my own things come from the Bible. They will say, we know, but we still want to hear. So that's fine. We even argue about, you didn't go for gay pride. I said, I can't go for gay pride because you don't come to church with me. There is no fights. So I can't go. If you don't come for mine, I don't go for yours. But we're not fighting. There is no problem. We eat together, we drink together, we argue, we talk about it openly. But that's what I'm saying, that you need to understand your role. So for them, I tell them, Christianity for me is not a religion, it's a lifestyle. And because it's a lifestyle, that's my lifestyle. I'm not imposing it on you, so don't impose your lifestyle on me. Yes. That's it. Because that's your lifestyle, it's my lifestyle, so there's no fight now. You stay your lane, I stay my lane. All of us are happy, all of us are good, right? And then lastly, please give me 3 minutes and I finish. Lastly, we go to the next slide, which is about you cultivate a culture of self-awareness. We already talked about all these, beautiful things. Your self-awareness is what raises you up. So all this, 7 C's, the whatever is, all these beautiful things. Just remember that in that self-awareness, it unlocks every part of your life. Every single time, always remember those 2 circles up there. Our current limit is always going to be smaller than our potential. And at every point in time, remember that your brain is only 3% that you're using. For some of us, it's 1. Right? And the maximum we are ever going to use in our lifetime is 12%. So always remind yourself that you're always going to be in that small space because you need to keep on expanding to whatever your potential is. And this is where you expand spiritually, you expand academically, you expand intellectually. This is just all about self-awareness. Once you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, it helps you to expand better. Okay, and then just to summarize, I have 2 more slides. The critical thing is that if I think about all the things today is about, when you are very clear about your purpose, when your purpose is embedded in spirituality and is embedded in the transpersonal way that we've spoken about it emboldens you. You go from I can't to I can. C becomes off your name. You go from impossibility to possible. So, and that's kind of what I would love you to walk away with, is really that the fact that you are no more restricted because you are not in that current limit again. You are moving to the potential. And the more you move to the potential, you move to the next potential, you move to the next potential. So in summary, all I'm just going to tell you is always think about what's your role for God's plan. It's critical. What is it? And really, even if you think you know it and you're not yet achieving it, that's also possible. Because even in the Bible, Luke 16:10, if I remember correctly, it says that for some people it was a parable, but for some people, if God gives you something, it's going to destroy you. So you need to get to a particular stage where you can handle it. So that's why you need to keep on asking yourself, am I actually on the right path? So your purpose may be that big thing, but you have all the steps you have to take to get there. So it's not a problem if it looks like it's still far. It's all about the steps, but make sure that those steps you're growing and you're growing towards it. And at each point in those steps, your role is super clear for you and it's planted back into the plans of God. Thank you.
A round of applause again for her. Just that, sometimes I want to speak my local language to express some things, because my local language said, Kasore and Kababe, is the honor, when you speak about somebody and then we mean it like that, that's the honor of a person. I mean, she's a person of honor, I can say, because, in fact, a round of applause for her. Now, one thing I like about the way our speakers have been engaging us is that they have been, breaking this thing down in a way that we can never forget. I really love that, and in a way that we can put something down. And now, to stretch ourselves and to take lunch for those of us that are. So we want to go for lunch now. But as they are preparing for lunch, there is a game we want to do in front here. If you want to participate, at least we can. It's going to be in a circular form, so we can just come front. As they are preparing the food, the food is not yet prepared. They don't want to distract us while the lecture is going on. So let's come forward there and do the game. Can you help me take this table around? Let's all come forward. Just form a circle.
Moi, je suis sur la caméra.
Okay, let's come forward.
Qu'est-ce qu'elle a dit? Elle a dit un truc, ça.
Hello, let's stand up.
C'est pas parce que t'as. Ça tire à balles réelles. Ah là, c'est une pause?
Aisha, yes. Release them. Go. Let us come forward.
I need to be on the camera on the phone so that you can put them in the frame because
is everybody, let's come as much as possible. Let's come. Let's just come. We just want to form a circle. Emmanuel, come, everybody. Viens. Oui, t'inquiète pas, c'est pas une chose compliquée. T'inquiète pas. Just for a sample. Yeah, let's form a sample. Yeah, let's form a sample. A sample. So what we are doing is this.
Yeah.
This thing, I throw it to you. They can throw it to everybody. It doesn't go round. Let me explain again. At the same time, you understand? If you can catch both of them at the same time, fine. But if you, because of this, let this cup fall into your hand, your house. Yes, if you can catch this at the same time with the cup, but if because of this that you want to catch, you were not able to you understand, take this cup, then do you understand now? So this cup will start with you now. Just pass the cup directly, not by. So I throw this thing. Throw it to anybody. No, like that. Just throw it very, very gently. Throw it very gently, yeah. But please throw it gently, please. Okay, I'll buy it for myself. Okay, yeah, forgive me. Oh yeah, you continue to pass the cup. Please, let's do it.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Please, we can go up for lunch. We have very limited time. So we can go up for lunch before we continue the session. We have till the next 30 minutes to have our lunch. Please, if we have interest in the lunch, let's go up as soon as possible. Thank you.
Il est là-bas. Je peux prendre tes photos.
while you're dreaming. Nobody sees you. Nobody will believe you. Every day you try to pick up all the pieces, all the memories I'll never leave you. Nobody sees you. Nobody will believe you. God knows what you've been through. God knows what they say about you. God knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows. Keep it going, it's a secret. Somebody sees you. Somebody will never leave you. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows. Misunderstood and wants to blame. What if we could start over? We could start over. We could start over. Oh, for the lonely, for the ashamed, the misunderstood and the ones to blame. What if we could start over? We could start over. We could start over. There's a kind of love that God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows where to find you. God only knows how to break through. God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows.
Oh, you can decide that, right?
Epidemic Sound provides you with restriction-free music and sound effects that you can use across all of your content without having to worry about it getting taken down or muted. It's designed for creators so that you can save time and really find the songs that you're looking for really quickly and efficiently. It doesn't really matter if you're a video creator or if you create videos for clients, you can actually just pick whichever license works for you. This resource is going to help all content creators.
I look up to the mountains. Does my strength come from the mountains? My strength comes from God, who made heaven and earth and the mountains. détaille comment j'ai pu lancer mon premier jeu mobile avec un budget total de 600.
sens. Donc, conseil l'État aussi, comment faire ça. Au choc. À Bobigny, parler avec
What's the
learning piano takes a really long time, but that's false. Here's how long it really takes with this new method.
Three more plays.
I'm so much interested in that.
It will look like an owl, and yes,
probably be an owl. That's the system.
Please, let's start summarizing our heating. We are starting in the next few minutes. In the next 5 minutes, let's start summarizing our heating. Thank you.
You're not
Find the vibe.
Blessing, morning, testimony. Go to follow. Follow, you will go. This year, good news, target, plenty money. Go to follow, you will go. Everything that we wanted, manifesting for my life. Everything you be wanting, manifesting for your life. Even before you call, you don't answer prayer. My Papa is so shy, you don't feel for your head. Even before you call, you don't answer prayer. My Papa is so shy,
Please help me off the music. So I think we have started the second session, and people are already sitting down, and we can't wait to have the next speaker. I'm already salivating. The food is not the food. What I'm about to listen to is making me salivate more than the food. Please, on the sound, va continuer.
That's good to meet you.
Aisha. Katia.